You're listening to The Shiny Sofa, the official podcast from Latex 24/7, the premier online magazine dedicated to latex fashion news, reviews, and interviews.
Hello, and welcome to episode 17 of The Shiny Sofa. Coming up on this show, we have a special extended edition where we're joined by owner of Magpie Latex, Josh Champion.
So speeding up that breaking down of what is just societal expectations, because you're able to see these other inspirations from everywhere in the world, right? And it's like that kind of like a domino effect.
So take a seat on the sofa, make yourself comfortable, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and of course via latex247.co.uk.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us for episode number 17 of The Shiny Sofa, the latex fashion podcast brought to you by Latex 24/7. Each episode will welcome a special guest, and I'm really thrilled today to say that we've joined by Josh, who's the founder and designer of Magpie Latex. Welcome, Josh. Thanks for joining us, mate. So much appreciated.
Hi, yeah, thanks so much for having me on. Always love a chat with you guys. See what's going on.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll have absolutely tons to chat about. We've got a lot of topics to cover, so
Absolutely.
let's kick right in the beginning and find out a little bit about your journey and interest in latex fashion. Bro.
Yeah, perfect.
Has fashion always been a passion of yours, Josh? Has it always been a part of your life, or is it something that's been a relatively new thing since discovering latex?
It's been relatively new for me, to be honest. I mean, it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, like really young, there was a point where I was like, oh, fashion sounded quite exciting to me. But then it was never something I pursued for a long, long time. And then I ended up going more down the music route. And studied music at university and things. Ended up realizing I wasn't able to be quite as creative, I think, musically as I wanted to be. Yeah, I mean, I was playing bass guitar, so there was only so much I could do. But I was always quite a visual person, I think, when I was younger. So then what was this? It was probably like 3 years ago, I believe. Yeah, that's when I did the course in latex. But that was starting going to events like Torch Garden, things like that. I wanted to learn how to make some pieces myself. So I Googled, I was like, how to make latex clothes? Kind of just expecting like YouTube videos or something, but then it popped up the week-long course at Central St. Martin's. So I thought,
Okay,
yeah, invest the money into that. And that's kind of where it began, to be honest. But I remember even like being in that university, being in the building and things like that, I was like, wow, this is such an inspiring place. Seeing all the other students work, like just walking around, I was like, this really feels like something that I just connected to. It was like, yeah, this is a sort of a path I felt like I needed to follow. And I really didn't want to leave. I was like, it got to the end of the week, I was like, oh, I wish I could carry on going, but no, it was a brilliant course taught by Nick Jones. And I mean, that's the only sort of formal fashion training I've had, and it's kind of just snowballed after that, to be honest. Yeah.
awesome. It's I always like the fact that it can be so accessible, can't it? Really, just for people who don't necessarily have that background in fashion or
Yeah,
the training involved with that.
absolutely. Absolutely.
You go and find yourself a course somewhere, and you can be making something. Obviously, there's a lot of skill involved with it, and it's making the first thing is a lot different to skill that you gain after 2 or 3 years of doing it, I'm sure. But
I think you're right. I think in the scene there really is a kind of like do it yourself kind of attitude in general, I think. So that sort of ties in really well with latex because, like for me, for instance, I'd never learned how to sew, use a sewing machine, anything like that. So just being able to glue and use that as like the starting point, it kind of eliminated a lot of the sort of technical aspects that came along with a lot of other fashion stuff, So yeah, like you say, it's quite a nice way to sort of jump into it and like get creative, and you can get the results from it quite quickly,
Bro. Obviously, you mentioned Nick Jones there.
Yeah.
Nick's quite a successful designer himself, having run the Tainted Love brand for many years.
That's right.
Was that quite an inspiring place to be to be working from somebody that had been within the industry for quite a few
Definitely.
years now?
Yeah, definitely. Like it was great, the teaching style. Like we started off by, I think it was the first day, just doing a couple of sort of like practice runs and the techniques and things. And I remember the class, like he would just get the glue and like just zip it on straight away, like no breaks in between. And we were looking there like shaking away. We were like, oh my goodness! Like you could just tell how skilled and like how effortless it was for him, you know. And then so we did that for a couple of days, and then he was showing us how to use like basic patterns, and then worked up to actually like tracing one of our own pieces and
Wow.
making that as like our final piece. Yeah. And to be able to go from that, like from literally never having picked up any tools before to making your own piece in a matter of 5 days, I mean, it shows the skill and like how knowledgeable he was at being able to convey those techniques, you know.
So obviously you did the course. You found it to be I suppose by the sounds of it, quite an eye-opening experience, really. Both in been in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Why then did you feel that there's that jump to making it a bit of a job and a semi-career? You know,
Yeah.
why was Magpie Latex formed from that?
I think it really, I think because it felt so natural all of a sudden, it was something that I was doing just as a passion to begin with. And then because it came so naturally, I think when people started like requesting, oh, could you make this piece for me? Could you make this piece for me? I was like, yeah, it sort of became, I was like, oh, like a bit of an eye opener, really. I was like, you know, there is quite a market, and yeah, it just seems something that I could actually sort of follow a bit more professionally, and take it on the next step, rather than just keeping it as something I enjoy doing, which I really did. And I think, like I was saying, like I'd sort of dropped off creatively with music, so having this new endeavor really, yeah, it just completely propelled it to a whole different meaning for me, I think.
Yeah, a different path to take that creativity down that wasn't maybe
Mm-hmm.
what you originally planned to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think it really, fashion wise, like I I like the fact I can make the pieces and then people wear them, and that's empowering for them, you know, and it doesn't have to be the focus on me specifically. I quite like that. You know, I'm putting the craft out into the world, and then that's helping people, you know, embody the person they want to become, and it doesn't have to be me on stage or whatever, you know. I think that
yeah.
just ties in quite nicely with sort of the progression I've taken.
No, I like that. I like that.
Mm,
That's a good way of putting it. That yes,
mm,
you're putting that out there rather than it being,
yeah,
you're designing it and giving it to somebody.
that's right.
That's therefore their thing to enjoy, isn't it? You
A
know,
hundred
rather
percent.
than music, which is still going
Yeah,
to remain with you. I like that. That's
yeah,
a
a
really good
hundred
way of
percent.
describing that. Yeah.
Mm, mm-hmm.
What do you enjoy most about working with the latex, and what do you think are the biggest challenges that you come across?
Yeah, I think my favorite thing probably about working with it is its tactile nature. I really like the feel of it, working with, like I said, the glues and things, because I hadn't learned to sew yet. That was a really good start for me. But yeah, I think the tactile thing, the smell of it, like all of it, is just quite a sense. I've always been quite a sensory person, so I think it really draws me in. And it kind of has its own experience, you know. Wearing it feels obviously very empowering. That's got its own sort of tactile sensations with it, but working it, and then from what is just a roll of flat latex to then something that's got proper form, and like I really like working with boning and things like that and being quite structural. I think, yeah, I think I find that very satisfying, like seeing it all sort of grow, you know, come out of what is just a flat thing to then having quite structure and has a real sort of personality to it. Like, I think technically wise, what I'd find tricky is I'm I'm quite a perfectionist, and it seems to be that the designs I make are not exactly simple. Whenever I come up with it, I know I'm like, I get the idea in my head, and I'm like, right, I have to make this. It feels, I don't know, it feels kind of uncomfortable. If I got the idea and then I don't end up making it, it feels a bit like, I've kind of described it before as sort of like an itch or something. It's like I need to make this idea and need to put this out into the world. Well, I don't really know why, but it's like, yeah, it has to be done. So then like I said, they're quite technical, some of the designs. Like, there was a piece I made recently which has actually been used in a video which I'll be releasing soon. It's kind of in the works, being edited. But yeah, this had like some really big spikes coming out of it, and trying to get that form was quite tricky because there was a lot of different pattern pieces. And since I'd not come from a fashion background, it was a lot of learning as I go along, so I'd create the sort of design on the dress form, cut out, maybe it was from like masking tape or whatever I'm using if it's draping with fabric, but then translating that into the pattern to be used and then to be graded again itself has been a real learning curve, I think, for me, but also very satisfying. Like, the shapes and everything, it just speaks to me quite nicely. So it's been a real learning curve, but definitely I've enjoyed getting my teeth stuck into it,
Yeah, definitely. I think you've you kind of touched on it a little bit there, really, Josh. But sort of, how would you describe the versatility of latex? Do you think that there are things that you can do with it that you wouldn't be able to do with traditional materials? Thinking about some of your designs that I've seen from your early collections with the inflatable pieces and things that you did. Is that versatility something that, as a creative person, sort of pulled you towards that latex in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it really can do lots of things that lots of other materials can't. You've got other fabrics that are stretchy, but they're quite, like, latex being stretchy can be very form fitting and like really hold its shape quite nicely. Like you said, because it's airtight, which there isn't really another material apart from maybe sort of PVC and plastic. But you couldn't do any inflatable stuff. And I remember Dane Henderson's stuff was a huge inspiration, like, for me. I remember seeing those pieces and that really stood out because that's something that really can't be done with anything else. Like, those huge inflatable horns and things really was a turning point for me. I was like, it took it from more than just a fabric to make clothes from to something that creates its whole kind of own identity, I think. And that's really where I got it from, I think.
Yeah, I can see those influences and inspirations from Dane in your work, without a doubt. Yeah. It's yes, very very versatile. Yeah,
definitely. But it's also fussy. It is also fussy, like leaving it out if it gets stained in the sunlight or something. So, as versatile as it is, it's got its own little quirks as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course, that's definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. You talk about as part of Magpie Latex, you talk about the concept of the brand, that there's always been the balance of the opposites.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what you mean by that, Josh.
What do I mean by that? It's something I always feel throughout life. I think, like, my own spiritual pursuits and things like that, it's balance has always been something I've strived for, and it doesn't always mean like balancing things physically. It's very kind of like, for example, I like to use juxtaposition in my work. So I want to start this, and definitely there's an idea I've got going as well. I want to introduce some fabrics into my designs as well. And the concept of having the harsh, like, shiny, sort of quite stark latex against like a softer fabric, such as like lace or something like that, I think both then, like, both push each other further apart but make each other stand out. And it's like, it then brings out the best qualities in either. Do you see? So you've got like the good and the bad, and it's like, yeah, that's carried through into the black and white of the latex, the brand Magpie. But I think having that balance is very, very important in all aspects of life. It's very unifying, and to try and get rid of one is to ignore the other, and that is only gonna detract from the good in both, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's how I try and each design I've got, like, I don't always intentionally go into it trying to follow that theme, but once it's done and I reflect on where the inspiration came from, there's always some sort of little motif that's kind of nodding towards that, and I think that's been carrying through a lot in my work. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense, Josh. It makes perfect sense. It's, just talking a bit more about the inspiration of things, you clearly draw a lot of inspiration from Gothic and biblical and
Definitely.
mythological styles.
Yeah.
You know, your first collection, which we'll get onto in a few moments, had that running through it.
Absolutely.
Where does that approach come from, and kind of what drew you towards that as a form of influence?
I suppose, I think style-wise, when I was a kid, I was always like emo kid, kind of listening to metal music, so a lot of inspiration from that. But growing up, I think, yeah, getting into the occult and like esoteric forms of spirituality, I think there's a lot that ties in with that, because it's a lot to do with symbolism, and symbols have always spoken to me so much more than just reading something. So the visual representation, and again, I suppose that's what got me into fashion, but the visual things, they just carry a lot of meaning. It doesn't always have to be like obvious at the time, but then when that meaning pops out, it resonates with you, and it's something you can't overlook. And I think being able to carry that through into my work is, yeah, it just really speaks to me. And I think especially like the gothic-y kind of style, yeah, I quite like that grunge, but also, and again, it's a balance. It's like the grunge, but trying to match it with the elegance of like a long, nice dress. You know, I think having the both, it's just very captivating. Like, sort of subconsciously, it has a calming effect, I think, but also very like poignant as well.
Yeah, I suppose just thinking to that. Was it the Rapture dress? I think you did in the first collection that you put out.
The red one, or the long train one?
The long train one, more specifically. Yeah,
that was the devil dress. That was from the Devil Tarot card, where it's like, yeah, it's got the devil sat on top, and then the two people chained below. And that was kind of the inspiration from that one. So it's only a small little motif, but the chain going round, and then got the short version called the Little Devil Dress. I thought that was quite a handy little name for it. Yeah.
I like it.
That's one of the ones, yeah, I'm remaking with a nice, much shinier chain I'm using this time. But yeah, remaking that upstairs at the minute to show at the show. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I think that, as you say, that harshness of the metal chain mixed with the complete opposite, really, of latex is
got quite an organic look. I think the movement and the feel of latex, you know, it's like people say, it's like second skin, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Josh. We'll take a short break, and we're back after these short messages.
The popularity of latex fashion has grown exponentially in the last few years alone, with its rich and dynamic approach to clothing, a wide variety of styles and choices, and an ever-growing belief in itself that fashion should be sustainable and open to all. There has never been a better time to celebrate this diversity and community. Welcome to the Latex Fashion Awards. Bringing together a number of the most talented and highly respected members of the latex clothing industry and community, the Latex Fashion Awards will be the industry's only event dedicated solely to the work of those talented individuals and teams who bring imagination and ideas to life. So head over to latexfashionawards.co.uk for all the info, and be sure to follow over on social media. Just search for Latex Fashion Awards. It's time for latex clothing to shine.
You're listening to The Shiny Sofa, the official podcast from Latex 24/7, the premier online magazine dedicated to latex fashion news, reviews, and interviews.
Early last year, sorry, you launched your Angels and Demons collection. We've touched on a couple of minor points there, but can you tell us a little bit more about that particular collection there, please, Josh, and and what did it include, and can you sort of describe them to the people that are listening?
Yeah, so what it included, again, there was a lot of balance going on in that. There was the long train dress we were just talking about called the devil dress, then the short mini dress version called the little devil dress. The raptor dress was a red piece with a really big sculptural shoulder that came out,
Yeah.
and that was made of white metal boning and had sort of holes cut out, and it kind of looks like, kind of like a skeletal structure going on, and the sort of skin decaying. And then we also had the nails dress, which was a black dress with a big translucent cross straight down the middle there. And then the inflatable piece was the infinity gilet. That was definitely one of the hardest pieces I've had to make, because I sort of interwove chains all the way through. So although it was inflated, I had to make sure it was still airtight to weave these chains through. And then the final piece was the cuff bag, which is a handbag that unzips and becomes handcuffs. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. It's just looking back at the photos from that collection, you can very, very clearly see those inspirations that we spoke about a few minutes ago.
It's supposed to be quite in your face. Like it's definitely not subtle, my work, but I think doing that gives people room to question things, and I think that's important.
It's a conversation starter, isn't it?
Exactly.
People will look at that, and people will look at your designs, and it will spark that conversation between them. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's important. Like I think as a designer, like I didn't. Although I work with latex, like I want my pieces to be quite meaningful, and like you say, to be a conversation starter, and because I think that can really ripple through and change a lot in the world. I think it's important.
Yeah. Nothing quite like being in that position to be able to produce those that will then cause those conversations to happen. It's really, 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 really great to see. Really is.
Yeah, hopefully so.
Latex clothing means different things to different people. We often hear the terms empowering and outlandish.
Yeah.
Can you describe what latex fashion means to you in that kind of situation?
Yeah, I think it's really empowering. I think the reason people describe it as empowering is because it is so out of the ordinary from what is typically, I could say, allowed or typically expected, right? Walking down the high street, obviously wear what you want, like that's important. But I think that's why it feels empowering, is it because by simply putting on a piece of clothing that the general public or society deems, people have got a lot of preconceptions about it. I think that simple act of deciding that this is something you want to do for yourself, and it's as simple as putting on a piece of clothing, it has a lot of meaning to it. It's saying I'm not following the norm. I'm doing what I want above all like preconceptions of whatever anybody else thinks, because it makes me happy. And I think that's where the empowering side comes from, definitely. And I think, of course, like outlandish, like we were saying earlier, it does a lot of things that other fabrics don't. And I think, like structurally, whether it's inflatable and things, it really is a conversation starter, I remember one of the first like big inflatable things I saw on a runway was the piece Harry made for Sam Smith.
Yeah,
that piece was really, really big and structural. And I remember like how how much attention that got. And it's like, well, it's literally a piece of clothing, but just simply by breaking those sort of expectations, societal like molds, it really created a ripple, and it there was a lot of hype about it,
That
or
was
into public focus a lot.
it was definitely a very dividing piece, wasn't it? There were lots of people that loved it and lots of people that looked at it and
Very
thought, "What the
much
hell
so.
is that all about?" It's
Very much so.
which
I
again
think
comes
that's
back
the
to
case with fashion a lot of the times, isn't it?
True,
Because
true.
whether it's latex or not, people will see something and they'll be like, "Oh, how is that wearable?" And it's like, well,
Yeah.
it's probably not. It's not made to be comfortable. It's not made to be wearable. But by you talking about it, it has done its purpose. Whether
Yes.
it, whatever you think about it, it's got you speaking.
Yeah. If you think about sort of designers like what they called Vinanomi,
Mm-hmm.
yes, there were latex elements to some of their stuff, but at the same time, there were lots of garments and designs that are making use of sort of secondhand fabrics and think back to the one a couple of years ago where forget the lady's name now, the one that was on the Bake Off. Prue.
Yeah, I think I saw that actually. Yeah.
She was there in what was effectively an old parachute, that they had turned into a dress.
That's amazing. Yeah.
And another situation where people would people look at it and question it, which I think in this world can be a really good thing these days. Don't just accept it, question it.
No. And I think that's becoming more and more prevalent. Whether say what you will about social media and things like that, but is sort of speeding up that breaking down of what is just societal expectations, because you're able to see these other inspirations from everywhere in the world, right? And it's like that kind of like a domino effect. It's all just going to snowball on from there. And I think that's always good that people can see there's other options out there. That's only ever helpful.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's completely agree with that, Josh. Yeah. Just going back a little bit to something you said there about people wearing the material, and thinking, that it's empowering and what kind of advice would you give to people who maybe are thinking, I fancy trying that. That looks good, but maybe just a little bit too nervous to do so. What sort of ideas and tips could you provide them?
Well, I think there's a couple of ways you can go about it, really. I mean, the way I'd often advise people, if you're comfortable, going into kind of shops where they actually sell it and having some advice, having the person there. It might feel a bit nervous or a bit scared at first, but the people who are working into that is what they're there for. They're there to advise, to help, point you in a direction, and it's kind of like, it's like shopping for any other clothes. If you're feeling drawn towards something, whether it's like, I don't know, a skirt, or whether you're going down more the fetish route, whether it's like, oh, this harness looks nice, like just follow that instinct and then try it on, give it a go, see how you feel. It's going to feel very different to begin with to anything else. Like it'll probably be quite cold when you first put it on, but then after a minute it'll adjust to your body temperature and you'll be like, oh wow, like this is quite a different experience. Or if there's if you want to just try it in the comfort of your home, just order a small little piece and give it a go, and like just try it out on your own and see how it makes you feel, because I think that's the most important difference about it is the way it makes you feel. I think so. Just give it a go and see how you get on.
Yeah, no, good advice.
Not be too intimidated by it, because there's a lot out there. There's a lot of other options out. I think even when I should tell people like I'm a latex designer, they instantly think extreme fetish stuff, which I make all that as well, of course. But I think it's becoming a lot more in the mainstream now, but I think even people don't realize it now. Like you see a big red dress or something, it's shiny, but people might not even realize that it is latex, So there's a lot of things out there, depending what you're looking for. There's a whole world,
Yeah. If you think back several years, PVC and stuff was something that was deemed a bit risky,
Yeah,
whereas now it's
commonplace.
not uncommon is to see people wearing it.
Definitely, that's a very good point.
Yeah, so hopefully that trend will continue with the Bell Latex as well. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
What are the most popular designs that you produce, Josh? And which ones are the ones that you get most inquiries and
Yeah.
produce?
The devil dress and the shorter version, the little devil dress, is definitely the pieces I've sold the more of. Yeah, I think they really like the chains, and also it couples really nicely with the bag as well, because it's using the same chain, the same red latex as in the little tabs on the side. So it's a nice pairing, and the metal just works quite. I think because it's incorporating that amount of chain and things, it's quite. It's not so done, So I think that stands out the most. But yeah, I get a range of all things really. I've been doing the custom orders as well of whatever people come to me with. I'm more than happy to go over the ideas and then work with a friend who helps do some pattern designs and whatnot. But yeah, I'm open to most things. But I'm really looking forward to getting my website up and running so I can actually have everything laid out in a nice space, a lot more accessible, just easy to click through and see all the designs laid out there together.
No, that'll be awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm hoping to have that up and running sort of by midsummer time, so they'll be up and running by the show later on in the year.
Cool. Well, let us know when it is, Josh, and we'll make sure we put something together and a bit of publicity for it. Without a doubt, that's
perfect. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Spoken a little bit there about some of the customers. How important is the reaction you get from customers, and can you describe the best reaction that you've ever had from a customer?
Yeah, I think the reaction is vital for me. Like I was saying earlier on, because I enjoy doing the fashion because it helps other people become this version of themselves that they've always kind of felt that, whether they're new to latex or not. But I think being able to help people embody that little thing they're feeling inside, that can really change somebody's life. And I think that's very important. Getting the good reactions is amazing. It just shows, I'm helping them embody that and getting good reviews. Yeah, it's brilliant. It's amazing. Like I made a piece recently which was a big cat suit with a sort of detachable bat wings and like spikes up the arms, and that was an impressive shot. Yeah, the shots they got from that was brilliant, I think. So just seeing it going out into the world, it's a crazy experience sometimes, because I haven't been doing it so long. So I think when I actually see it in the sort of real world settings, I'm like, wow, like, yeah, it's actually taking form. It's brilliant.
Awesome. What about sort of best reactions that you've had from customers? What's been the feedback from them?
Yeah, I mean, when they say it's like absolutely perfect and things like this is brilliant. Like just hearing that feedback is amazing. I think it's really the feedback isn't why I do it, but hearing them so happy is why I do it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah, that is it's a whole different experience really.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant.
I suppose it sort of makes all that work and effort that you've put into to learning the craft, training, all the test cuts that you may do and whatever and
Definitely.
things. It sort of makes that all worth, doesn't it? Really, and
definitely
probably probably a good shot of the old endorphins as well. Imagine when you get that sort of back. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, most of the pieces I've made have been sort of different things. Like I haven't done too many repeats of the same thing over and over, which I enjoy. Like I really enjoy taking on all these different ideas and the challenge of figuring out how to bring it into life.
Awesome. You're currently in the plan stages of your next collection.
Yep.
What can we expect to see with that, and where have you drawn inspiration from for this particular collection?
Yeah, so this one's going to be called Life After Afterlife, and it's again a balance thing. You can see it's almost mirrored down the middle, life after afterlife. It's kind of mirroring the both stages of like life and then death, and it's
Yeah.
it's going to be very poignant in that regards. Pieces wise, I am going to be doing some more gender neutral ones and mask pieces. So there's going to be a nice harness I'm making in 2 colors, black and white, and it's going to be called the Life Vest. And so basically it's going to have lots of like metal rings on it and chains going between it, and it's going to be representing the different paths on the Kabbalistic tree of life. So yeah, it's going to be representing all that in the black and the white. You've again got the both sides of the different paths. I'm designing a wedding dress as well, which will be
Wow.
amazing, and it's going to be the yin
Awesome.
and yang wedding dress. Yeah, it's going to be white with some really dainty gold chains coming off of it down the sides, and it'll be really nice to actually end the runway, because it's quite a classically done thing, isn't it? That often fashion shows will end with a wedding dress. I didn't plan it for this reason. I just came up with the idea. But I was like, well, there we go. Like, it works out quite well. So there's that piece. And a few jackets as well, which will be nice.
Okay.
Some big it's a big jacket called the Nuit jacket, which is going to be a big black jacket, kind of rounded shoulders and rounded arms, quite circular, cropped. And then on the back, it's going to have lots of tiny like jewels attached on, and then one big jewel in the middle. It's kind of going to be like the night sky, you know. And
Wow.
then a couple of other jacket ideas, but they're underway. And I've also done a few t-shirts as well, because people really liked the oversized t-shirts I've made for a client for a custom order, and I posted it on the story, and it was very popular. So I thought, right, I'll do this. So yeah, it was quite nice. They're both translucent. So the plan is, you know, you can wear it translucent, but also, again, it's going to be one of the more accessible pieces. So if you want to wear it with just like a plain white t-shirt underneath, the embellishments I've put on the t-shirt and the pattern will stand out quite nicely, I think, against the white fabric. So it'll be quite a casual kind of thing, you know, just wear it with a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, but this over the top will give it a nice, just a bit of shine to the outfit.
Awesome. No, that's great, and yeah, it's good that you touch on those oversized t-shirts. There, no, they seem to be quite a big trend at the moment amongst other designers as well, which is I think partly down to the accessibility that you mentioned about them. You know,
that's right.
It's something that can be worn very easily, very simply. Maybe doesn't have some of the usual trappings that you might associate with latex clothing.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, let's hope that trend continues.
I think so, yeah. And it is that textural thing as well, like you were saying. It's not because it's not skin tight. It's got a whole different feel, and it's just good to offer people some different options.
Yep, perfect for summer, definitely, without a doubt. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. If you could create a latex outfit for anyone in the world, who would it be, and can you describe what it might be like?
Who would it be? So I've actually come up with a design recently that I think is very gaga. It's going to be it's going to be incorporating latex, but also a petticoat underneath as well, like fabric. So like I was saying earlier about the juxtaposition of the fabric and the latex, so it'd be quite a big kind of Victorian shaped dress with a sort of suit top to it. And it'd be make a big crinoline bell shape at the bottom, and then fabric petticoat underneath, sort of layered ruffles, and then it'd be quite open at the front, and black latex sort of draping over that. And the idea, it'd probably be attached via a zip or something inside, because you got to wash the two different fabrics. Separately. You can't just put latex in the washing machine.
Of course not.
So,
nope.
So I thought that would be cool. And then I designed a little hat to go with it as well. Kind of like a, how can I describe it? It's sort of like the old style sailor hat shapes with the point, but I'd make it a bit more flared, so it almost looks like a bird beak, not to look like a bird beak, but to follow that magpie style. It'd be black and white and kind of inspired by that beak style. But I think that could kind of fit her vibes at the minute.
Like and sound that one, Josh. Yeah, and if you're going to do it, if you're going to do it, aim high.
Yep, exactly. Why not going to the stars? I really do like the idea of working with more fabrics mixed in with latex, because There's another skirt I've designed with it. I think the textural difference is really nice, and it's not something that's so done at the minute. I think probably because of the washability. I assume that's why it's not so done. But I'm going to figure out ways of like whether it be lacing it in so it can be detached and washed separately. But yeah, I really want Magpie to start going down that route of incorporating other fabrics as well.
Cool. That'll be a very unique approach, definitely. So there's a I suppose there's a few designers that do that now, aren't there? Really, but not a huge amount, and certainly maybe not with the sort of materials that you're talking about there, Josh. So look forward to seeing that one. Really do.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it should be a good one.
So what's next for Magpie? I think you've touched on a little bit about the runway show. You want to tell listeners a little bit more about that, about what the plans are, and
So as I mentioned, got the Avant-Gardista coming up in Munich later on in the year, which will be brilliant. So it's going to be about 14 pieces, including a couple of bags and whatnot. That's going to be brilliant. That'll be my actual first runway show. So it's quite a big one to do as the first show, but I'm really excited. I mean, it's great demographic there. It's going to be quite a big thing. And they'll be supplying the models. What else have we got going on? And soon, I've recorded a video. It's kind of like a little promotional video, about 7 minutes long, that kind of sums up a lot of the vibes of the brand. Again, in that, I was wearing a kilt that's got some fabric mixed in with it as well. So latex and fabric's another use of that, and it's got one of my favorite pieces in it, which is a very natural looking corset, sort of extended shoulders coming over, and is like light up, and it's got moss and flowers all attached to it. So I'm really looking forward to releasing that, because I think it will give a good impression of what the brand is going for. And then been talks about London Fashion Week next year as well. So doing something in London will be brilliant. Yeah.
Oh wow, that'll be
lots going on.
That'll be a great achievement. Yeah, that'll be
it'll be amazing.
Yeah,
dream come true, really.
Yeah, definitely, and pretty amazing that you've been able to do that within the space of 2 or 3 years. By that point, won't it? That's
it's a real privilege.
Really good doing.
Yeah. I feel very fortunate. Like, I think I've just really found my calling, and this is something that I hope will be able to be my full-time job soon. Yeah, it'd be amazing once the website's up. Yeah,
definitely. Well, that all sounds absolutely fantastic, Josh. It really does.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and I think your original interview helped with a lot of exposure as well, so that was brilliant. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Always happy to help those new and upcoming brands, without a doubt. With that little bit of publicity and stuff. It's great to get the word out there.
Brilliant.
So, I think that's. I'm afraid that's kind of. I think we've got pretty much all we've got time for there, really, Josh. I'm sure we could probably.
Yeah, no problem.
Carry on chatting for a lot longer about those things, but really appreciate you joining us today. Thank you. It's been really, really interesting to get an insight into your journey.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Before we disappear, do you want to just give everyone a quick reminder about where they can find you online and social media and so forth?
Yep. So the best place to find me will be my Instagram page, Latex, Magpie Latex, and my own one as well for my custom orders is j.champion, Josh Champion. That's the best place for now. Keep an eye out, and like I said, in the next couple of months, the website will be up and running, and then. Yeah, I think that's the best place to find me.
Cool, great stuff. Cheers, Josh. Thank you. We'll keep an eye out for that one. Appreciate your time, and I am sure we will speak again very soon.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much,
Josh. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers. Bye. I'm afraid that's all we have time for on this episode of the Shining Sofa. Many thanks to our special guest, Josh of Magpie Latex, for being with us today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to your podcast. And be sure to head over to latex247.co.uk for all the latest latex fashion news and reviews.